Hello everyone, so I've decided to create a guide about travel photography. This is an introduction to travel photography. You guys requested a video guide, so that's why I'm recording this video. However, for those who prefer or who want to keep something that they can print or they can read, I also created an ebook. So after this video, I will be sending you the ebook. So it's a Notion guide. I'm going to show you how that works. So it will look like this. What you can do is duplicate it or just read it on the web. That's up to you. And then you can see you will probably have the summary close this way. And then you can just open it and click on the different pages. So this is pretty much what I'm going to say here, but maybe there will be more detail in the ebook. That depends what I'm going to say here. Let's see, and then at the end of the page you can go to the next page and like this until the last page. Okay, so this is something that you can read all the time, that's completely free, and that goes along with the video that you're watching right now. So let's start. Okay, let me come back to the slide. So this video guide will be in 3 parts. So first part will be photography, then we will have another part on photo retouching, which is my specialty, and then the last part, creativity, which is something that I really love to talk about and I think is very important. So first of all, you might be wondering who I am, who am I to be talking about travel photography, like where do I come from? You probably follow me on Instagram, but if you don't, maybe this is the first time that you saw me. So I'm going to explain a bit who I am. So the first thing, like my first passion in life, this is really travel. This is the thing that really sparked a lot of joy in me. I love to visit new countries, to meet new people, discover new culture. That's really the thing I love the most. Maybe even more than photography, I would say. So a few years ago, I've decided to move to Australia. So if you don't know, I'm actually French, so I lived in France before that. And yeah, that was my first big travel experience. I traveled by myself and I really loved everything about it. So yeah, first of all, I'm a traveler, and then I always kind of liked video and photography, but you know, nothing serious, just taking a few photos like most people. And at some point, I had an Instagram account and I was following some people who were doing digital art, and I really loved that and I wanted to try it for myself. So that's how I started to do digital art. So mostly using stock photos and combining them together to create a story. So there was like nothing about travel. That was just creating a few stories with different photos, and I can add a few photos of my digital art that I was doing back in the days. Nothing incredible, but yeah, that is what I really liked to do at that time. And then I kept traveling, but at the same time, so I was working in different jobs like restaurants, hotels, farms, as farm are really a thing in Australia. But I was feeling like I needed to be back to my creativity. I wanted to be a freelance. I wanted to have my business. And at that time, I really loved retouching photos. I also really loved making animation, like video animation and stuff like this. And yeah, anyways, fast forward, I started to develop my retouching skills and to start working in retouching studios in Europe. I got back to Europe just after COVID because we couldn't travel anymore. So I got the opportunity to work in a big studio, international studios, as a photo retoucher. And of course, that's how I grew my skills a lot, because of my mentors that helped me to grow as a photo retoucher. And then what happened is that my mentor, like my bosses, the people for who I was working, they were always quite impressed with my travel photography that I was doing, in weekends and when I had time. They were really impressed, and And in my last studio, this was the end of my contract, and my boss took me out for coffee, and he told me, you should give it a try with your travel photography. You are very good with that, so do something with it. So he even suggested me to teach, but at that time that was not an option for me. I was feeling like I was not ready for it. I was not legitimate to teach. So I didn't do that at first, but I started to do travel photography, my job, my business, and that's how I started to work in the tourism industry, mostly for hotel, real estate, and travel. Over all those years, I think since I really created my own style as a travel photographer, people always kept asking me to teach, and for me, there was not an option, as I said before at the beginning. But I gave it a try like a few months and year ago, and at my surprise, I really love it. Like, I love to help you to unlock your retouching skills, to see that it's not that complicated. I love to see you discover your style. Like, that's something very rewarding for me as a teacher, and I'm very happy to see you evolve. So yeah, that's now part of my job. That is now part of my job and my business, but I also keep my activity as a photographer because I love to do that. So this is who I am, Lou, or you might know me as Lou imag'in, a travel photographer and a photo retouching teacher. So first of all, let's talk about photography. I want to talk about what's in my bag and what do I travel with when I travel. And you're gonna see I'm kind of a minimalist photographer. I don't like to travel with too many things. I'm a small person, I'm not very tall, so I can't have a huge backpack with me. And as you know, if you do travel photography, you usually have a suitcase or something with all your clothes, and then you need to bring all your gear with you. So that's why I like to travel as minimalist. First of all, something I didn't add in the slide here, this is my backpack. This is a Low Pro Pro Tactic 452. I think that's the name. I really love this bag. I have it for like now, I don't know, 4 years, and I didn't have any problem with it. It's enough to pack all my gear and also a few clothes, usually like a few clothes or some makeups and stuff like this. So I really love it. I bring it everywhere with me. Then my camera. So I have a Sony a6600. This is an APS-C camera. I love it. This is compact. This is lightweight, so I'm very happy with it. If you are more into full frame camera, I also got the opportunity to work with the A7CR. That is also very compact. The only downside is that the lenses are quite heavy, so even though that's compact, that will be more heavy than the Sony a6600, because the lenses are very lightweight. I have them here, like it's not very heavy at all. When it comes to the lenses, I have the Sony 18-105 f4. This is my favorite lens. If I could bring only one, I would have this one. I love it. That's very versatile. Then I have the Sigma 16mm and the Sigma 30mm. The 16mm is very interesting for architecture photography, and it's very sharp. I really love the quality. I would say it's sharper than the Sony, but of course it's only 16mm, nothing else, so it's less versatile. The 30mm is very interesting for portraits. I like to use it when I'm traveling for portrait, or for details like product, or details when I'm shooting in hotels. This is also the lens I'm using to shoot this kind of videos. Now, what else? I also have the Sigma 10-18. That's something I purchased quite late in my journey, because I started to do a lot of real estate photography, and that's something I needed for work. And now I'm using it, of course, for architecture as well when I'm traveling. But yeah, if I had to choose only one, that would still be the 18-105 Sony. Now, when it comes to the tripod, I have the same tripod since like 10 years. It's very small, it's like this. I'm using it at the moment, that's why I can show you this tripod. I added the reference, the exact reference in the ebook guide. However, I think it doesn't exist anymore because I really purchased it a while ago. So yeah, I think now you're gonna have to find something else. Now, what else? I also have a cleaning tools pocket. I have it here. This is something quite small, and there is many tools inside to clean your camera, your lenses, your capture, and everything, to make sure you don't have dust on your lens and on your camera. Now, what else? Yeah, I have a black mist filter. I use it mostly for portrait photography or for videos like this. I don't use it for my travel photography, my street photography. If I want this dreamy effect that the black mist filter gives, I would rather control it perfectly in post-production. That's personal preference. If you like the effect, I think it's fine to use it whenever you want. Then when it comes to laptop and everything, I have a MacBook Pro M1 Pro 16-inch. I used to edit with a 13-inch, but after working in studios with really giant screens, that was kind of hard to edit on a 13-inch, so I decided to upgrade to a 16 inches, and I don't regret. I really like it. I think it's not that big, not that heavy. It fits inside of my bag, so for me it's fine. Then I have two SSDs that I travel with, and at home I keep backup on HDDs. For the SD cards, I'm using SAN discs. This is cards like this. I never had any problem with them, so I have a few like that. And yeah, by the way, for the SSDs, I'm using Samsung and Crucial. This is the two brands I use. I've never had any problem with them as well, so that's why I keep purchasing the same brands. And the last thing but not least, very important for me as a retoucher, I am using a tablet. So I didn't always work with a tablet, and by the way, before working in studios, I was mostly using a mouse, but then in studios that was mandatory to use a tablet because that's more precise, and that's a bit hard. There is a hard learning curve with a tablet, I think, but once you are used to it, you can't get rid of it. So now I love it. That's easier and more precise to create mask and yeah, do precise retouching. So this one is the tablet Wacom Intuos M. I really recommend it. Lightweight as well. There is the pen that goes with. It's not that big. They have smaller ones if you prefer smaller ones. And this one, I purchased it a few years ago and I still have it. I have no problem with it. That's Bluetooth and you can also use the cable. So yeah. That is all I have in my backpack. Now, how do I find my photo location as a travel photographer? That's an important topic. And I have a few techniques. First of all, Pinterest. I am a big user of Pinterest. I found that this is a great platform to find inspiration, but also to find location for photography. So usually the way I do it is that in the search bar, I will write the name of a city. So let's take, for example, Budapest. So I'm just writing Budapest. And then I create a board, like the Budapest board. And I will pin everything I find interesting, everything I find beautiful, actually. And then usually when you click on the photo that you like, it will bring you to a website, the website of the person that register this photo on Pinterest, and that will give you the photo location. Sometimes it's also written in the description of the Pinterest post. So yeah, that's how you can find different location. So just don't write just Budapest. You can try to write Budapest aesthetic, Budapest best Instagram spots, Budapest photography. Just try different keywords, and then once you have a lot of pins inside of your board, when you click on it, Pinterest is going to suggest you other posts. So that's also a great way to add more to your board. I really recommend doing that before going on location, so you know what you might be able to see, what you might be able to shoot. Now, the second way that you can use is Instagram, of course. So for Instagram, you can also create boards. So I would recommend that every time you find a post interesting, you just save it and put it in the board. So for example, let's keep the same example, Budapest. Every photo of Budapest that you like, you just save it in this board. So with Instagram, what you can do is to search by hashtags. So you just write in the search bar Budapest, hashtag Budapest, and then you see all the most recent or the most popular posts about Budapest. It's not like, I found that in Pinterest you have more interesting posts than on Instagram, because Instagram is going to give you the post of everyone. So not everyone is a photographer. So you might find things that are not that interesting related to Budapest. So try different hashtags. Budapest photography, I don't know, Budapest like tourism, Budapest photography spot. You really need to try everything you can find. And then what I recommend is that nowadays most big cities have their own tourism account. So try to find it and go there, and then have a look at what's in their page. And same, save the things that are interesting. Then something interesting to do with tourism account. Go and see who they are following. Usually that's professional accounts, so they are not following their friends, they are following content creators related to this place, or specific businesses from this specific city. So I really recommend you to have a look, and you might find content creators that are specialized in this specific location, or that are just travel bloggers, travel vloggers, stuff like this. So yeah, have a look at who they are following. Now the third thing is content creators, of course. Now there is many content creators specialized in traveling on Instagram. So find the people that might be from the area where you are traveling to, and don't hesitate to send them a message, ask them some question, have a look at their content, because usually content creators share a lot of tips in the reels, in posts and everything. And yeah, something else that can be interesting and is not on Instagram is to have a look on YouTube. You might have more information, deeper information, because Instagram format are very short, so sometimes you end up reading more description than actually seeing interesting location. So yeah, and then the last one is asking friends and colleagues. So ask the people that you might know already, like your family, your friends. Maybe they've been to this location and they can recommend specific location to shoot. And colleagues, if you are friends that are photographers that might know this location. And I also recommend, if you have even a small community on Instagram, on your Instagram account, to ask in your story if people have some tips, some good photo location that they can recommend. Sometimes people that follow you are not photographers, but they might send you a list of cafes, restaurants, things to do, and that's also interesting to have after you go shooting. So yeah, and that's also a way to connect with your audience. So I would really recommend to do that. Usually people are very happy to share their favorite places with you and to help. So yeah, I would recommend to ask in your Instagram story, or if you are using, I don't know, TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, just ask people. Usually, yeah, as I said before, they are happy to help. So that's the main ways I usually find all my photo location. And then after you saved all that and you have a better idea of where you want to get your photos, I would recommend to get organized. So go on Google Maps and pin all the location. It will give you an idea of where are the different photo location, so you can create a little itinerary. So in my case, I usually shoot early in the morning, like just before sunrise. So that means I kinda need to think about where I'm going first, depending on the light. So I create a little itinerary, and if it's too long, I would create two, so one in one morning and the other itinerary in the other morning, or just one in the morning and one in the evening after sunset. Now this is a great way to find location in a city before going there. But something I really recommend to do, unless if you don't have time, if you really don't have time, but I would recommend to don't be too organized and to give yourself some time to just go and walk in the city and get lost. And that way you are going to discover photo spot yourself, discover places that talk to your soul, and you are like, wow, that's beautiful. I want to shoot that. And that's usually the best spot because you really have a connection with this place and you are not there only because that's the most trendy location on Instagram. Like you really have a connection with that specific place because you've been walking through it. So there is already a story in the photo. So I would really recommend to, when you are on location, to get lost and to open your eyes, walk around and see what part of the city are speaking to your soul. So that's like, I think it's even more important than getting organized from the beginning. Maybe not, I think both are very important. So yeah, that's my two recommendation. Do research before going there, and once you're on there, get lost a little bit and shoot what speaks to your soul. Now let's start with a few general photography tips. So first one, just start, take action now. Don't wait to take this course to have more technical knowledges, to be in this incredible location, to start practicing more. The best way to learn is to take action and make mistake while doing the action. So next time you know how to get better. So don't stay behind your screen looking at courses and doing nothing and never going outside shooting. You really need to take your camera, go in your street and start shooting. And that's how you are going to discover how to use your camera, what kind of style of photography you like. You really need to take action to do the thing by yourself. That could seem like a stupid advice, but as a teacher, I can see that sometimes people, they want to keep learning, they think they need more knowledge, but they don't. They just need to take more action. And that's true in many areas of life. So just go outside and take action after this video, please. Then the second tip is to learn composition. So as a teacher of photo retouching, sometimes people give me their photos and tell me, Lou, how can I do something incredible with this photo? And the answer is you can't do anything because the composition sucks. So before wanting to be a great photo retoucher, you need to learn a bit about composition. It doesn't have to be incredible composition, but if you can learn the basic ones like leading lines, rule of third, framing, that's already enough to have great photos. I want to show you an example here with some of my photos. So I'm jumping in Photoshop, and then here I'm going to make some drawing and show you something. Here you can see that I have framing thanks to this arch, okay? And it's framing the shot to show what's inside of the arch, okay, so like behind the arch. And then I also have this road here that leads to the church, which is the most like important subject in this photo. So here we have framing and leading lines as a composition for that shot. Now another example, we have this photo here, and you can see I've added those lines here. This is the rule of third, and what we can see is that the church here is in the middle of this point here. So I am using the rule of third to emphasize the position of this church. Here we could even tell that we have some leading lines with the river going to the church here. Okay, so here that's just composition tips. I have this one too. Here I have some leading lines. If we follow the road, as you can see, if we follow the road, we're gonna end up on the Eiffel Tower. And we have even some rule of third where the subject and the interesting part here, the interesting restaurant with the colors, is in the intersection here of this point. Okay, so those are very basic composition rules, and I recommend to start practicing it and start to take photos while thinking about it, and you're gonna see that your photos are going to improve automatically. Now, another tip. Usually a lot of people want to get sharp photos. That's something you think you really need to know. What is the secret to get sharp photos? Well, the answer is just use a tripod. So the reason why I added the tripod thing into those photography tips is that, first of all, you're gonna get sharp photos. If you are shooting at night, no question, you should use a tripod. Now, the good thing with a tripod is that you need to set it up, you need to place it somewhere, so it's going to slow you down, and it's going to maybe help you to think about your composition, the place where you are going to position your tripod and your camera. So sometimes it's good to have a tripod with you to just slow down and think about what you are shooting instead of shooting everything and nothing. So using a tripod can have double benefit, slowing you down and getting sharp photos. Then try out a lot of different genres and even a lot of different medium and art. I know that it's a guide about travel photography, but sometimes trying different genres can help you in the genre where you want to evolve. So here, for example, when I was a photo retoucher, we were not doing travel photography retouching. We were doing portrait and commercial photography, product photography, cinema, a lot of different things. But while practicing this, I've got better at travel photography retouching, because you can take techniques from one genre and use it in your favorite genre. So if you are attracted by portrait photography, even if you don't intend to do it your main hobby or your main business or anything, I would recommend to practice it a little bit and to see what you can bring from what you learn using these different genres to travel photography. Something else I recommend, and I actually I am practicing it myself, is to maybe do another kind of art. So for example, I've recently started sketching. So I'm learning to sketch and to see all the details in one street, one specific area. I'm also learning watercolor, so that means you need to know how to use the colors, how to combine them to make it look great, and that can be beneficial for your travel photography. So if you want to learn painting, drawing, even video maybe, I would recommend you to do it, and it's going to help you for the thing you want to grow. So here we are talking about travel photography. Now the last one, get inspired by great artists and not on Instagram. The problem with Instagram, that can be a great platform to discover great artists. However, Instagram is more a world of influence. So if you have a lot of followers, Instagram is going to push your content. But if you are an artist with not much followers, but maybe you have a great career, maybe no one is going to see your work on Instagram. So, and on the opposite, you might have a lot of followers and be an absolutely horrible photographer, but because you have a lot of followers, people will think you are very good. So be careful with Instagram, and I would really recommend you to find great artists on maybe Pinterest, Behance, photography contests, museum, books, exhibition. Yeah, you know, like great artists, even like big painters from centuries ago. They are people you should get inspired by. They are great artists for a reason, and I want you to discover new artists that way. Then when you find a different artist that you really like, I recommend to do a little analysis and understand why you like their work, and also analyze their work. So then you can, in a conscious way, know what you can take from their work, what did you learn, and you can apply to your work. So it's very important to be inspired by things outside of your own work and outside of social media. So that's it for the photography part. Now let's dive into the photo retouching. So first of all, what software do I use? Be careful, this is not because I use it that you should be using it, okay? I want this to be clear. So the answer is Photoshop, and Photoshop again. This is the only software I use. No, I don't use Lightroom at all. Why? Because inside of Photoshop there is something called Camera Raw, and this is exactly the same thing as Lightroom but integrated to Photoshop. And because all of my photos will eventually go inside of Photoshop at some point, for me there is no point to open Lightroom. The reason as well is because I don't use the file management and libraries available inside of Lightroom. I'm not interested in using it. So for me, if I would use Lightroom, that's only to use the editing tools. And this is the exact same thing than in Camera Raw. This is literally the same thing. So I don't know why there is an urban legend going around that people think Lightroom is better than Camera Raw, and I will tell you as a professional photo retoucher, this is not the case at all. This is the exact same thing. You can go on the Adobe website and read that Camera Raw is just Lightroom integrated inside of Photoshop. So when you open a RAW file with Photoshop, it's going to open Camera Raw first to do your RAW development and then transition to Photoshop. Well, in Lightroom, you can open your RAW image, you can do your file management, and then if you want, you can transition to Photoshop, but that's not mandatory. But yeah, all the settings you can do in Lightroom, you can also do it in Camera Raw, and both can even talk with each other. So that's exactly the same. If you plan to edit your photo in Photoshop anyways, you should use Camera Raw. That's a lot easier and your workflow will be faster and smoother. So this is the reason why I don't use Lightroom, because I know that eventually I will end up in Photoshop. So for me, for my workflow, this is smoother to just use Camera Raw and go to Photoshop. So I am only using Photoshop. So what is the big difference between Lightroom and Camera Raw? I just said it. Actually, this is the file management. Camera Raw can edit your photo exactly like Lightroom. However, you don't have any file management tools. So if you love Lightroom for the file management and library, stick with Lightroom. If you don't use it at all, try using Camera Raw because it will make your workflow smoother if you also use Photoshop. Now, how do I manage my files if I don't use a Lightroom? I use Adobe Bridge. This is a file management software. It allows you to give, stars to add your photos in folders, just do file management. And I like to use Adobe Bridge. From there, I can open my files in Photoshop or in Lightroom. And for me, that's all I need. Now, plugin, presets, I don't use any of all those things. I don't use plugins, I don't use presets. The only thing I use are brushes and actions that I built myself for the most part. Action are something that you can click in Photoshop, and it will create in one click a series of action. So for example, if in your workflow you are used to add a one layer, add contrast adjustment, add a color balance adjustment, and then add another layer, and you do that all the time, then you can create an action, and instead of clicking a 4 button, you just click one and it's creating everything for you. So that's something I use in Photoshop, but this is my own action that I create. And for the brushes as well, I try to create my own brushes, and back in the days I was also using other creator brushes. So yeah, that's, by the way, something I sell in the travel photographer toolkit. I sell my stars and moon brushes, my action or workflow action and sharpening action, and a few other things. So yeah, that's the only thing I use inside of Photoshop, and I don't use presets or plugin, and you really don't need to use that. Now, what can you use to edit your photo? So the software that are recognized by the pro industry, where you can find endless courses and tutorial, is so that's Photoshop, Lightroom, and Capture One. Those are very known software. If you work in studios or plan to, I would recommend to learn those softwares. Now, Adobe is getting quite expensive. Capture One is also quite expensive. So if you don't have the budget, a cheaper option but less popular and something you might not use in studio, or if you want to grow in this industry, might not be the best option. But this is Affinity Photo and Luminar. I can't tell much about it because I haven't used them myself. I've heard a lot about it. I think that's great software, but yeah, I can't give you my experience because so far I haven't used them. Now, the big question, why retouching your photos? When capturing a place, you have some control over the composition, the light that comes in, the subject, the framing, but the camera itself captures a reality that is quite objective. Retouching is where you bring your soul into the photo. You infuse your vision, the emotion you felt in that moment. The photo retouched become as you saw it. So retouching a photo is sharing your vision. Retouching gives you the freedom to add authenticity to your photo. So here, this is how I see retouching for travel photography. Now be careful, here we are talking about travel photography. It might not be the case for retouching for commercial, for portrait and things like that. So here we are really talking about travel photography. For me, retouching, it's a step that allows you to infuse your soul, to infuse who you are inside your photo. And if you are able to do that, you are able to create your own style and to create something that is a part of you. So I think this is why you should retouch your photo, to add your vision to your photos. Now, some tips for photo retouching. If you are a beginner, go crazy on YouTube learning. There is a ton of YouTube tutorial about photo retouching and about almost everything. So if you are just starting out, just go on YouTube and look for what you need. It will take you some time, but that's completely free and you are going to learn a lot. If you want to grow faster, invest in courses. There are a lot of courses out there, and that will help you to learn faster, learn workflows, learn techniques a lot faster than going crazy making researches on YouTube. Now, if you want to grow even faster and deeper, invest in mentors, in people that can tell you exactly what you need in your case to grow. I really recommend that. That's something I had when I was working in studios. Thanks to the people I was working with, I've been able to grow, and that was really mentors for me. And I wouldn't be where I am today without their help. So something I really recommend. Now, shoot RAW always. The RAW format captures more data than the simple JPEG, which means you are going to have a lot more flexibility in the post-processing stage. You will be able to recover shadows and highlight correct colors in a deeper way. So shooting RAW is the starting point to be able to edit professional looking images. So please take your camera after this video and set the settings in shooting RAWs. If you want to be able to have the quick preview, you can choose RAW plus JPEG, but yeah, you need to have at least some RAW files. Now, fail a lot, don't try to create masterpieces all the time. That's a bit like the photography tip where I said that you need to go out and shoot more. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Here is the same, but for photo retouching. Everything you create doesn't have to end up on Instagram or on the internet or anywhere. It's sometimes good to open the software and to try every settings that you see just to see how they work. And usually you might end up with horrible photos, but you are going to learn a lot from those sessions. So allow yourself to be bad at something, to fail, and this is what is going to allow you to create masterpieces later on. Build a system. So when I say build a system, what I mean is build your own workflow. A workflow is a series of steps that you follow for every photos. It's like a map, and it allows you to know what you are doing and what you need to do next. So for example, in my workflow, I usually do the RAW development in Camera Raw, then I open my photo in Photoshop, I do the cleaning, then I do sky replacement if needed, then I do the color grading, and I build like this, and it's always the same steps for every images. So every photo are different, but the workflow remain the same. So start by using other creators' workflow, and over time build yours with your favorite techniques. That way you have a clean edit and you know what you have to do next. Now, another tip, stop using presets unless it fits yours and that you build them yourself. What is important when learning photo retouching is to know what you are doing and why you are doing it. You need to understand what does a specific effect and why you choose to use this effect. It will allow you to be able to edit your photos in any software you want because you understand what are the effects for. So here, me, for example, if tomorrow someone tell me you are not able to use Photoshop ever, you need to go in Affinity Photo, I'm not scared. That would be fine. Like, I just need to understand how the software works, but I know what effects I need to apply. I know how colors work. I know how light work. So I can use any software I want, really, because I understand how things work in photo retouching. I don't depend on one software, and that's really important to understand what you are doing. Using presets without understanding what's going on is not a great idea. So I would recommend to don't use presets just because a photographer told you it's the only preset you will ever need in your life. That is not true. You need to understand what you are doing. Lead the viewer eyes. But by retouching your photo, you will decide what story you want to communicate. Once you know the story, It's your role to guide the viewer to the most important part of the image. This is your role to help them to navigate the photo. So ask yourself, what do I want to convey through this photo? What is the mood? How do I want my viewer to feel when you're looking at the photo? Where do I want their eyes to focus? In practice, that means that maybe you need to add a vignette. You need to add some more light in the subject. Maybe you need to do some kind of framing. But you need to know what's going on and what you want to communicate to be able to know what kind of adjustment you need to do. So lead the viewer eye to help them to understand the story of your photo. Okay? So remember those questions, maybe write them somewhere. So for your next edit, you know where to start. Then there is no right or wrong way to do something. The reason why I wrote that is that before working in studios, I had the feeling that some adjustment or some things were not allowed to do as a professional. And let me tell you that is totally wrong. There is so many ways to do one thing, especially in photo editing, and there are many different software. So of course there is many ways to get to one point. So use the methods that you master today to get to where you want to go. Over time, you are going to learn new techniques, and if you think they are better than the techniques you were using before, then replace them. But don't think that, oh, I can't use this tool because that's not professional. Let me tell you, nobody cares. Even in studio, someone might tell you, you should use these methods because that's faster, that's better, that's non-destructive. They are going to tell you why it's better. But no one is going to tell you are stupid because that's not professional. There are so many ways to do things. If you ask one photo editor to do one thing, probably every photo editor is going to do something like they are going to do the same thing but in different ways. So there is no right or wrong way to do something. Use the one you master. Now, this is the third part, your creativity, your artist journey. I'm going to be fast on this last part because it's already been a while that we are together. So I just want to say that there is a difference between a technician and an artist. And everyone can be an artist. A few years ago, I'm not sure why, but I felt like I was more of a technician and I didn't want to be like, I didn't feel like I could be an artist. And I think the reason is I'm someone very introverted. I don't really like to talk about myself. So adding a bit of who I am inside of the thing I was doing was kind of a challenge for me. And now today I realized that technicians apply techniques. Okay, technicians are good at techniques, while artists take those same techniques and infuse them with creativity. That's what makes their work stand out and feel unique. We all have an artist within us. You don't need to be a free spirit wearing flamboyant clothes or living an alternative lifestyle to be an artist. You don't need that. But you need to open your heart and mind and listen to who you are to be able to translate that in your work. I really like this quote from Van Ho, a photographer. I feel technique is not too important. It's more important to use your eyes, mind, and heart. That's by combining technical knowledges and your authentic self that you'll be able to discover your true style. The styles that make you different from everyone else. So if you are like me a few years ago, don't think that you are only good at learning the techniques. If you can add a bit of who you are, open your heart and allow yourself to be really who you are, then you can really create unique work, a work that resonates with who you are. Tell a story. when I give feedback to my students' photo, I always ask them to tell about the story of the image. Like, where is it, what happened there, what they want to communicate through their photos. By having this information, I can help them to apply techniques that serve their vision. It's not an easy exercise to think and put into words an image story, but this is how you become aware of what you are doing and why you are doing it. Knowing consciously why you are doing this or that when editing will guide you to discovering your style. So I'm not saying that technique is not important. Of course it is. You need to learn the techniques to be able to translate your vision, but you need to keep in mind that you also have a vision, a story, something to convey that comes from you, and this is what is going to make your photos unique. So it's very important to have both and to use them together. So that's it. I hope you like this video and that you learn a few things. If you want to go deeper in the topic of how to find your style, I have another ebook. I will put the link somewhere. I will actually send the link to the email with the ebook that will give you the written information that I just told here. So that's how you can go deeper with how to find your style. Now, if you want to go and dive deeper in the photo retouching world, I have a program that is called Retouching Bootcamp, and this is a 4-week course to learn in-depth photo retouching, get mentorship from me with video feedback on your photos, once a week, every week for 4 weeks. You learn ways to find your own style as a photographer. So this is a course with lessons that are unlocked each day, and you get me as a mentor, and I'm going to give you each week video feedback on your photos. So that's a way for you to learn your skills faster and deeper, as I said at the beginning. So what do we learn in Retouching Bootcamp? So on week 1, we learn the basic of photo editing in Camera and also in Lightroom, because if you are user Lightroom, I want you to keep using Lightroom, so I'm going to explain you also how everything works in Lightroom. Then we are going to learn the basics of Photoshop, and that's already a lot for the first week. And of course, like every week, you have your weekly feedback. So the thing that happens is that you send me your photo with the little story, just as I said before, and then I record a video for you where I give you all the tips, and I sometimes also retouch directly on your photos and send you all the files so you can improve the photo that you sent me directly. Then on week 2, we learn advanced techniques in Photoshop. So all the advanced techniques you might need to retouch your travel photography. Then you will also learn everything about color theory and how to put this in practice so you know how colors work to be able to implement that in your photos. Then you're gonna learn my full workflow on a night image. On week 3, my full workflow on a day image, and my full workflow on a day to night image. And of course, during week 2 and week 3, you also have the weekly feedback at the end of every week. On week 4, you're gonna have all the tools you need to create your own style. So there will be different exercises to help you to find inspiration, a method that I call still like an artist, and then you will be able to create your own style. And we're gonna do all that with some exercises and a little editing challenge for this last week, and of course the weekly challenge. So here you can see on the screen, this is all the photos that we are going to retouch together. So of course you have all the raw images, you have the PSD file I use in the lessons, and you also have additional rows if you want to practice with other images. So of course you can use, and I want you to use your own rows, because at the end of the day, the goal of this course is to help you to level up your editing skills and to find your style as a photographer. So it's important to use your own image. But if you need additional images, there are some available in the course. Retouching Bootcamp is for everyone who wants to level up their skills, who don't want to be scared of using Photoshop, who want to who want to be able to create their vision through retouching. The only requirement is to have Photoshop, because a lot of the teaching will happen in Photoshop. So if you don't have this software, I don't recommend you to take the course, because I want happy students only. If you want more info about Retouching Bootcamp, all the info will be below this video. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned a few tricks and tips, and don't forget to look at your emails. I'm going to send you now the ebook, so you can find all the information I told you here directly on the ebook. I hope to see you around, and I hope that you like this video.